Azure or any other cloud provider takes care of a lot of the nuts and bolts of running your web application or website or virtual machine. But every once in a while, you find something that you need to do, some sort of automation that you wish you could just run easily on the cloud. Well, Azure Automation can help with that. Let's mash on that. Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Asp.Net Monsters. In today's episode, I wanted to talk a little bit about this Azure Automate or Azure Automation. I can't remember which way it is. I think it's just Azure Automate, but confusingly, the title here is Automation. So
classic. Tell me everything. I know nothing about this product.
Yes, so I'm going to give you background on what it is that I needed to do here. So I do some work for a company that have a bunch of different environments set up. So like production environments, test environments, just as anybody would. And we were looking at our Azure bill and we're like, man, we really pay a lot for this like UAT environment when it only gets used maybe 8 hours a day. Do we really need to keep this thing up and running at like the 2 vCPUs on our database and a bunch of other stuff, or is there a way that we could save a little bit of money every month and scale this thing back down? So we're like, yeah, well, we could just scale that back down probably between the hours of like 5 p.m. and 8 a.m. There's nobody using the site, so we could scale it right back. So we took a look at this Azure Automation or Azure Automate, whichever, and this is just a tool that allows you to run basically scripts on a schedule or put in these things called runbooks and just run those at any point in time. So if you have automation tasks that you want to run from time to time, or something that is a little bit complicated that you want to surface for people who are maybe not as technical in your organization, this is a great place to start. So I don't know, I mean, as with all things on Azure, there's at least 6 different ways of doing this, right? So like we could automate this using Azure Functions. We could automate this using Azure Automate. We could automate this using Logic Apps. Like there's a ton of different options here. But I thought I would try this Azure Automate because I hadn't used it before. And there are 3 kind of basic concepts within this. So there's this concept of a runbook, which is just a script that you're going to run. And Azure Automate supports PowerShell version 5, Python version 2, Python version 3, and these kind of graphical runbooks, which are basically just pictures of PowerShell scripts. So if we go in and edit one of these, then it looks really cool, but behind the scenes, it's really just calling like a bunch of PowerShell commands. So there are runbooks, there are jobs, which are executions of a runbook. So if you run a runbook 3 times, then there's going to be 3 jobs that show up in here. And then schedules. So you can schedule a runbook to run at a specific time of day. And the scheduling is sort of what you would expect it to be. So you can schedule it to run daily, weekly, hourly, only on weekdays, Saturdays, Sundays, those sorts of things. So I thought that I would start with just showing you how to set up a pretty simple database scaling test. So this is similar to what I ended up with for this company that I do some work for. And it starts off with, well, I was hoping it would start off with just a runbook, but we actually have to go and install some modules. So I don't know what the kind of lifespan of Azure Automate is, whether it's still under active maintenance, those sorts of things. But a lot of the PowerShell modules in it are, to my mind, a little outdated. So it still uses all these Azure RM modules here.
Right.
And these have largely been replaced now with these new AZ modules. But we don't have those installed on here. So specifically, the thing that I wanted to do was scale a database. So in order to do that, you need to go and add the AZ SQL module here. Unfortunately, there's a little modules gallery here that I can go and install it from the AZ SQL. And I'm going to go and find the install button on here where it's import. And just run that. Now, before this broadcast, I went and installed the Azure or the AZ account module as well. I just didn't want to do that on the stream here because, as it turns out, there is no sort of like dependent module loading for this. So if we went to load something like the root AZ module, which has all these dependencies in it, then amusingly, it's like, no, I can't install it. You have to go and manually install all these things first, which feels like, couldn't you have done that for me? Like,
Feels
surely,
like a problem that package managers have solved in the past.
yeah, like surely doing a thing a bunch of times is like something the computers are really good at, and I am not. So that's a little bit of a defect maybe that I would love to see resolved inside of this. But anyway, we can take a look now at building up this runbook now. So I'm just going to create a runbook, and I will name it scale.db. And I'm going to set it to be a PowerShell runbook, scales ADB. I'm going to create that here. And that's going to let me go and write my task, which I feel like I probably have somewhere on a clipboard here. So this is pretty much what you'd expect to see if you were writing this task just using PowerShell. There's a few little bits and pieces that are different. This we probably don't need. I was just curious to see what version of PowerShell it's running on. But basically, we're going to log in. So we do this like get automation connection to get the service principal. And then we can use that to connect to Azure, which is just using our standard Connect AZ account, AZ account maybe. And then at the end here, I just go and scale the database here. So you just give it all the parameters to find the database on what scale level you'd like it to be. So I set all of these up as parameters on the script here at the top. And you can go in and put comments and so forth on these. I'm just going to leave it like that for now. So once you have that figured out, you can publish it. There is a test pane in editing. I don't find it particularly useful because you go and fill these values in, run the test, find a problem with it. Then you have to like exit out, go back here, fix it, and when you come back into the test pane, these values have all reset. So the development loop, what are we calling it these days? The inner loop is not a great experience on this. But anyway, I have this script created, I published it, so I can just hit start and give it all the values that I need here. So I'm just going to go, and I have a database somewhere here, I think, that we can try and scale. So this little database here is currently scaled to as low as I can go with like a basic 5 database. And we're going to try scaling this up a little bit here. So I need to grab a few bits and pieces off of here. So I need the server name, I need the database name, and I need the resource group name. So we'll start with those in here. So that's the resource group, that's the database server without the database bit on it. Database name is this one. So target edition here, you can do a variety of different things in here. So typically ones you'll see are like standard, which is the standard scale, general purpose, which is the vCores based scaling, or you can do this one that starts with P performance, or hold on, what is it? Premium. So we'll just scale this up to maybe like a standard database.
I was hoping you were going to go for like a P10.
Okay, let's do it.
Big.
We're going to scale it down damn fast afterwards. So, what's that? What's called premium? I'm naming it wrong. So premium. Let's go to a premium P1. So
that's not more discoverable, but
well, so I could have put in some comments on that, and then it would have at least said underneath like you can use standard or premium or whatever.
Okay.
But for now, we're just going to run this. So this will probably take like a non-trivial amount of time to do, so it won't keep people hanging around. But this is just running nicely now, so it'll show you the output here. So it started to scale the database. If there are errors, they will sometimes show up in the errors pane. You're much better off taking a look at like the all logs here. So that gives you a lot more details. And then also there's this handy little JSON view here that I have been using that'll give you some more detail on kind of what it is that's happening here and some details on it. So that's really nice. So while that's running, we can go take a look at schedules here. So you can add a schedule in here. I don't know if it's that, yeah, it does let you add a schedule here. So this is just a standard thing, like I was saying, scale up. And you can give this when you want it to start. So let's do it on the 3rd. And then you can set the time zone, which is actually pretty nice. So in my case, I needed something that the testing team is actually in Ireland. So I was able to just do it in like directly in Ireland time. And I know they start at like 9 a.m. And then you can set recurrence on it. So I was doing weekly, and we scale up on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and without any expiration on it.
Time zone dropdown is a nice touch.
It is actually a nice feature for sure, because otherwise you're sitting there doing the math, and then you can put in kind of all those same settings that you had before. And that will just go off and run it for you.
Cool.
So yeah, the job itself is here, still running, but like I said, that'll probably take a little bit of time to provision that database server up. But this thing can be useful for all sorts of different stuff. So if you need to scale virtual machines up and down, you could use this to run like database maintenance tasks. You could use this to just check resources. It's really the world is yours. Oh, the scaling is actually completed here. So let's go take a look over here at this database and see what happens.
Since you can do PowerShell in there, you can pretty much do anything, right?
Yeah. Okay, so it's scaled it up to a premium P1 with 125 DTUs, which is fabulous for my 18 megabyte database. It's going to run really nicely, entirely in memory here. And yeah, that's pretty much the end of what I wanted to show you on this.
Cool. I can think of a lot of interesting use cases there, especially around resources that are used for like development on like just regular work hours kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, even things like, oh, we noticed that we get a lot more traffic starting at noon. So it would be nice if we could scale our databases up before then, or scale our web servers up before that time. So lots of good opportunity for this.
Cool. Thanks for that.
All right. Well, great. Thanks everybody for joining us on today's episode. Remember to like, comment, share, and write yourself an automation task to upvote. We'll see everybody next week.
Bye.